In this video, we're gonna answer the question, how do I get to that place where I wanna be? How do I create, manifest, achieve that thing that I want? How do I cross the gap between where I am now and where I want to be? What's the bridge? And to understand that, I really want you to consider this. What got you here will not get you there. And so what got you here is you, is your identity, that state of consciousness that you have, which is made up the thoughts, the habits, the decisions, the attitudes, the actions that you have, that shapes you, that shapes your life, that shapes the decisions, that shape the experiences, the result that you've created, co-created in your life, right? So it's fair to say that you got where you are because of who you are. And so in order to get on the other side, you're gonna need to change. You're gonna need to start seeing yourself differently. You're gonna need to start to upgrade your own attitude, your thoughts, your belief system, your skill set. The bigger the gap, the bigger the shift is required. Because if you keep on doing the same thing, but expecting something to change, you're gonna get very delusioned, or you're gonna get very frustrated, very anxious, very forcing, but nothing much is going to change. And that's why it's so important to understand this simple fact that it's common sense, but it's not always common habit, because sometimes we struggle to understand what is it exactly that I need to change in order to get there. What is the bridge, right? And that bridge is your identity. And we talk a lot about this in this channel, and the reason is because it is really that one thing that can create and transform your life the most. And to emphasize this, I want to share a story with you, because I used to struggle a lot with being a nice guy, being a people pleaser, being too nice, having all of those struggles to express myself, to build relationship, to be honest, to say no. I was struggling a lot with social anxiety. I was struggling a lot approaching women. I was struggling a lot with the thought of making a mistake, appearing weak, of being rejected. So I was going out of my way, to being nice, to be liked, to be, that nice, shiny armor that shows no weakness. But I was just very bland because I wasn't showing really who I really was, my thoughts, my opinions, my emotions. I was being friend zoned a lot. All of these type of things really affected me a lot. And so after, going through years of struggle there, I started to finally realize that, something is not working there. Something is freaking not working. I was getting really frustrated, right? I was on this side of the bridge. I wanted to be on the other side. I wanted to be confident. I wanted to have great relationship. I wanted to feel good about myself. I really wanted to stop feeling so nervous and anxious all the time. But what was the gap? How do I go there? It felt like the gap was so big. And this is when I started to realize that it wasn't the people around me that were the problem or that needed to change. It was me. It was my own identity. It was my own sense of self-worth and worthiness and patterns and thoughts and behaviors that needed to shift. I needed to become the person that can create the result that I was wanting. So I could not act as a people pleaser, being too nice, and embody that state of consciousness while expecting things to be completely different and attract completely different quality people in my life. So I started to go to change myself, right? I really started to work a lot on my sense of worthiness, on my self-esteem. And especially one of the main things I did was to work on that self-inner critic, because I had a very loud voice, a very self-critical voice that would make me feel very anxious, very ashamed, very embarrassed, and that would make me go in those crazy loops every time I made a mistake, every time I said something wrong, every time, something was happening, it would just like boom, 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 attack me, right? So that would crush my confidence, that would make me doubt myself a lot. And so shifting that and interrupting that pattern had a massive shift. But I also started to visualize, to see myself in different situations, acting, being, thinking differently. I started taking action. I started being more honest. I started saying no. I started talking to strangers. I even joined Toastmaster to improve my communication skills, to better my leadership, to just embody and become different with different tool sets, with different people, and put myself in situations that required me to grow, to stretch myself, and to really be committed to that new identity I wanted to create. And before I realized, I was finding myself on the other side of the bridge, creating, being different with different results, with different people coming into my life. And this had a massive effect in my life. And that's what allowed everything else to start shifting. And that's why I want to invite you to start thinking about where you are in your life, but even more importantly, where do you want to be? Because that's the sure way of finding that bridge. You gotta start looking at yourself. You gotta start looking at your pattern. What's my pattern? What are the thoughts, the feelings, the habits, the decisions that are creating and perpetuating and keeping me stagnating in this situation? And you simply gotta observe that and be non-critical about it. Simply accept, okay, this is where I am, right? And I can go any direction from here. And then you gotta start looking at, where do I want to be? What kind of life I wanna create? And ask yourself, okay, this is what I want. So who do I need to be to start creating this? So what kind of shift can I make today? What are the small little steps I can take today to start creating and embodying that new version of myself? And that can be as simply as starting to dress differently, dress the part. That can be as simply as working on that inner critic. That can be as simply as start visualizing, exposing yourself, making different decisions, facing some of your fears. That can be doing all those type of little things. And small steps every day will take you a long way. But you gotta accept where you are and never look back. Look toward where you wanna go and start to embody every single day that new personality, that new identity, showing up in a different way, thinking, acting, feeling in a new way. And before you realize, you'll start to morph into that new identity and you'll start to attract different things in your life to reflect who you are being. Because the moment you start doing different things, by result, you will get different things, different experiences, different feedback in your life. And this is really what it takes to be on the other side of the bridge, creating the life that you want and to go over the next bridge and the next one. Because every new stage of your life will require a new version of yourself, a new level of consciousness, a new identity, a new way of seeing and being and expanding and growing. And if you keep on doing that, if you keep on growing like this, you see that your life will start reflecting that level of growth. So I hope this makes sense, guys. I hope you look into that. Let me know what you think down in a comment. As always, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I will see you next time. Be well.